10 minutes later, the technician examining the device pulled me aside and whispered with terrifying urgency, "Change the locks on your house and cancel all your credit cards immediately." When I saw what was on my husband's phone, I went into shock. It turned out that for him, that morning had been just another ordinary day. It was no different from the hundreds of mornings I had spent with my husband, Daniel. The aroma of freshly brewed coffee floated through the kitchen, mixing with the scent of soap as Daniel stepped out of the shower. He was my husband, the man I believed to be the pillar of my life. We had built everything together from scratch, a nice suburban house, stable careers, and a love I thought was unbreakable. Daniel kissed me on the forehead before sitting at the island counter. His smile was as warm as the day we met. We talked about the trivial things that fill the silence of a morning routine, plans for the weekend, a movie we wanted to catch. Everything seemed perfect, so perfect that it felt fragile. And that fragility had started to show in recent weeks. At first, it was small things. Daniel, who usually left his phone anywhere on the table, now always placed it face down. Face down, always. If he received a call while we were talking, he would rush to hang up or walk away to answer. "It's work," he would say dryly. I tried to believe him. Daniel was a workaholic, but the frequency of this behavior increased. He often locked himself in his home office until late at night. We used to always fall asleep together. Once I woke up at 2 a.m. and found him on the balcony, speaking into the phone with a tense voice. When he realized I was watching, he hung up quickly and said, "It was a difficult client in a different time zone." I pushed the doubt away. I didn't want to be the jealous, paranoid wife. I loved him. I trusted him. But that morning something broke. And it wasn't just his phone. We were on the second-floor balcony. I was watering my hanging planters, and Daniel was leaning against the railing, absorbed in the phone he was holding. I asked him something about dinner plans, but he didn't answer. He seemed too engrossed in whatever was on the screen. I walked over to take a playful peek. "What's up? Who are you texting so seriously?" His reaction was unexpected. He jumped, almost shouting. He yanked his hand away from me as if I were about to touch fire. The sudden movement caused the phone to slip from his grip. The device flew through the air, hit the balcony railing once, and then fell. We both froze. We heard the sickening crunch as it hit the tiled patio below. Silence. I held my breath, waiting for his explosion of anger. It was an expensive smartphone, the latest model, and all his work was on it. I was prepared for insults, complaints, anything but Daniel just remained silent. "Daniel," I called softly. "I'm sorry. It wasn't on purpose." Slowly, he turned to me. There was no anger in his eyes. What I saw was something much more terrifying: relief. He let out a long sigh, as if he had been holding it in for weeks. "It's okay," he said quietly. His voice sounded strange. "It's already broken." We went down to the patio. The phone was destroyed. The screen was shattered into shards like a spider web, the frame bent. There was no hope of repairing it. I bent down to pick it up, but Daniel stopped me. "It's fine, Kate, leave it. I'll buy a new one later. But your data, your work," I insisted. "Let's take it to a repair shop, at least to save the data." "It's not necessary," he cut in quickly. Too quickly. "I already have a backup of everything in the cloud. Forget it. Let's just say it was time for an upgrade." He picked up the smashed phone, carried it into the kitchen, and without hesitation, threw it into the trash can under the sink. He acted as if he were throwing away food scraps, not an essential tool for his livelihood. He seemed relieved, too relieved. For the rest of the morning, Daniel was lighter than usual. He hummed in the shower. He even suggested we go out for breakfast, but I couldn't relax. A strange feeling gnawed at me. Why was he so relieved that his phone was broken? What was on that phone that made him so happy about its destruction? The doubts I had been pushing away returned with full force. When Daniel finally left for work, I stood paralyzed in the kitchen. My gaze was fixed on the cabinet under the sink. I felt like a traitor, guilty, but I needed to know. With trembling hands, I opened the cabinet door and reached into the trash bin. I pulled out the smashed phone. Its body felt cold and sharp in my hand. I wiped it with a paper towel, wrapped it in a cloth, and put it in my purse. I knew where to go. My cousin Jack owned a small electronics repair shop in a mall downtown. He was an expert at the impossible. The drive to the mall felt like an eternity. My mind was chaos. I was betraying Daniel's trust. If there was nothing, I would be the worst wife in the world. But if there was something... The relief on his face that morning was proof that it wasn't something trivial. I arrived at Jack's shop. The neon lights of the store stung my eyes. Jack was busy taking apart a laptop, but he smiled when he saw me. "Hey, Kate, what brings you here? What's up?" I couldn't beat around the bush. I pulled the wrapped package from my purse and placed it on the glass counter. I unwrapped it. Jack's eyes went wide when he saw the state of the phone. "Good Lord, Kate. Did this fall off the Empire State Building?" "From the second floor." I swallowed hard. My voice was barely a whisper. "Jack, please, I have a bad feeling. It's Daniel's phone. Can you recover anything from here?" "Anything at all." Jack looked at me. Then he looked at the phone. His smile vanished, replaced by a serious expression. He saw the panic in my eyes. "It's really bad, Kate," he said frankly. "But I'll try." He took the phone and carried it into his back workshop. The door closed. I was left alone in the cold waiting area, waiting for the answer I dreaded. 10 minutes. That was all Jack needed. To me, those 10 minutes felt like 10 hours. I couldn't stand still. I wandered around Jack's shop. I pretended to look at the colorful phone cases, but my mind was elsewhere. My heart was beating so hard I was afraid others could hear it. What would he find? I imagined the worst-case scenario. An affair. I was mentally preparing myself for it. I imagined sweet text messages with another woman, photos that shouldn't exist. It would be painful, of course, but it was a pain I could understand. It was a common betrayal. If that was the problem, I would face it, I told myself. I would get angry, I would cry, but we could get through it. Or not. At least it would be something clear. Every time another customer entered or left the store, I jumped. I was tempted to call Daniel, to hear his voice and convince myself that everything was normal, but I held back. What would I say? "I'm at the mall having your broken phone, the one you threw in the trash, taken apart?" I canceled the call before it rang. My thoughts went back to the morning. The relief on Daniel's face wasn't the face of a man caught cheating. It was the face of a man who had just escaped a major catastrophe. What could be worse than an affair? Gambling debts? Legal problems? I didn't know what was better or worse. As I stared blankly at the escalators across the hall, the door to Jack's workshop opened. I didn't hear him come out, but suddenly he was by my side. I turned, prepared for bad news, but Jack's expression stopped all my thoughts. He didn't look sad for me, or angry. He was white as a sheet. His eyes were wide, and in them was pure terror. He didn't say anything. He just grabbed my arm. His grip was so tight it hurt. "Come with me," he hissed. He didn't take me to the counter. He dragged me abruptly out of the store, through the busy corridors of the mall. People stared, but Jack didn't care. He took me to a secluded corner near an emergency exit, out of the range of the security cameras. He pushed me against the wall. Both his hands gripped my shoulders. His eyes locked onto mine intensely. "Jack, what's wrong?" I asked. My voice trembled. "You're scaring me." "Listen to me, Kate," he whispered. His voice was urgent and terrified. He looked left and right, making sure no one was listening. "Listen to me carefully. Don't ask questions. Just do what I tell you." I could only nod. His fear was contagious. "Cancel all your credit and debit cards and change the locks on your house immediately. Right now." The words didn't make sense. Cards. Change locks. I shook my head in confusion. "What are you talking about? Why the locks? Is it money? Does Daniel have gambling debts?" I was still trying to find a logical explanation. "It's not debts," Jack said. His voice cracked. "Kate. It's much worse than you can imagine." "Why, Jack?" I pressed him. Tears started to well up. "What did you see? Tell me." Instead of answering, Jack reached into his pocket and pulled out Daniel's phone. Surprisingly, the screen, although completely cracked, was lit up. With a hand that shook more than mine, he opened something on the phone. He didn't speak, he simply turned the screen and showed it to me. I looked down, my eyes struggled to focus on the broken display. At first I was confused. It wasn't a chat app or a gallery of compromising photos, it was a file folder, and inside that folder I saw photos of me, not vacation photos or wedding pictures. I saw a photo of my driver's license, a photo of our marriage certificate, a photo of my social security card, a photo of the first page of my bank statement showing the routing number, and a photo of my passport. And below that, a document file whose title I couldn't quite read. Jack, this is... I started, not yet understanding why he had all this. Keep looking, Jack whispered. He swiped the screen and then I saw it. Another document. I felt my blood turn to ice. A lump formed in my throat. All the noise of the mall around me disappeared. The only thing I saw were the words on the screen. It was a draft of a letter, a power of attorney with my name neatly typed, granting Daniel full authority to sell our house. And below it, an image file. It was a sample of my signature. Perfect. Identical to the original. Oh my God, I whispered. I couldn't feel my legs. There's more, Jack said. His face hardened. He swiped again and opened a secure messaging app I didn't even know Daniel had. There was a conversation with a contact named Simply C. The last message had arrived only a few minutes ago when the phone connected to Jack's shop Wi-Fi. I read the message from C, and the world around me collapsed. The message said, "Okay, the phone is broken, the plan is still on. Tonight we move to the final phase. Make sure she is deeply asleep when we empty everything." I stared at the cracked screen, but the letters became blurry. My ears rang, and the words "deeply asleep" reverberated in my head, drowning out all other sounds in the mall. My legs gave way. I would have fallen if Jack hadn't held me up. I leaned against the cold wall of the emergency exit, and the chill soaked into my bones. But it wasn't as cold as the blood freezing in my veins. "No," was the first word out of my mouth. "It can't be. This is a mistake. It's a setup. Someone is setting Daniel up." I looked at Jack, pleading with my eyes for him to agree. "You know Daniel, Jack. He's good. He wouldn't do this. He loves me." Jack's pale face was now hardened. He didn't hesitate. "Kate, I wish I were wrong," he said, his voice quiet but firm. "But I've seen the internals." When I took the phone apart to connect the emergency power, I saw the hardware. There was a second SD card hidden behind the SIM slot where it shouldn't be. He hid it on purpose. He shook me gently by the shoulders as if to wake me up. "Listen, it's not just that chat. The folder with your documents and your signature was on that hidden SD card. This isn't something someone sent him to frame him. It's something he collected. He created that folder, Kate." I shook my head. Tears began to stream down my face. "But sell the house? Empty everything? Those are our joint funds." "I don't know why," Jack said, frustrated. "But we don't have time to figure it out now." That chat said, "Final phase tonight. You are in danger, Kate. In very grave danger. Deeply asleep." I repeated the words. Horrifying images flashed through my mind. Daniel smiling this morning. Daniel offering me coffee. Daniel saying he would make a special dinner tonight. Oh my God, he was going to poison me. A wave of nausea hit me hard. I covered my mouth and dry heaved. Jack held my head until I finished. The terror was so immense, so real, that it changed everything. The love I felt for Daniel, which had been so solid hours ago, was now shattered, replaced by a sickening horror. The man who slept next to me every night. The man who held my hand when my mother died. That man was planning to kill me. What do I do? My voice cracked. Jack took a deep breath and took control. He went back to being the logical technician. First, the proof. I am cloning the entire contents of this phone, including the hidden SD card, onto an external hard drive. It will take a few more minutes. This will be your main evidence. He looked me straight in the eyes. Second, your money. Take out your phone. Call your banks right now, all of them. Tell them your purse was stolen. Cancel all your credit cards. Freeze access to all your savings accounts. Everything. Don't worry about the joint accounts yet. Secure yours first. I nodded stiffly. My hands were shaking so much I could barely hold my purse. Third, Jack continued. The house. You can't go back there if the locks are the same. He can get in any time. C can get in any time. Who is C? I screamed in desperation. I don't know. Christina? Cassandra? I don't know. It doesn't matter. Right now you have to change the locks. Call a 24-hour locksmith and meet him at your house. Now, Jack ordered. But Daniel. Daniel thinks this phone is destroyed. He thinks his plan is safe. Exactly, Jack interrupted. He will act normally. You have to act normally too. You have to get home before he does. You have to change those locks before he returns. He paused and saw the terror in my face. Kate, you can do this. You have to do this. This isn't about your marriage anymore. It's about your life. Those words shook me. My life. He was right. The man I loved was planning the end of my life for this very night. Suddenly, the fear that had paralyzed me transformed into something else, something cold, hard, and sharp. It was rage. Pure, burning rage. How could he? After everything we had been through together? I stood up straight. My tears stopped. I roughly wiped the tear tracks from my cheeks. Okay, I said. My voice sounded strange, stronger than I thought possible. Jack, seeing the change in me, seemed slightly relieved. I'm going to finish this cloning. When it's done, I'll put the hard drive inside a new phone box. I'll give it to you in a shopping bag. If Daniel calls and asks where you are, tell him you felt guilty about his phone and you're buying him a new one. It was a clever plan. It gave me a reason to be at the mall and a reason to bring something new home. Don't call the police, Jack said firmly. Not yet. We don't know who C is. We don't know how deep this goes. If Daniel has contacts, or if he gets tipped off, we need to catch them in the act, the moment they try that final phase. In the trap. One step at a time, Jack said. Cancel cards, change locks, secure the evidence, and most importantly, Kate, do not eat or drink anything he gives you tonight. No matter what happens, do not do it. I nodded. Okay, now go to the bathroom. Wash your face. Calm down. In 10 minutes, meet me in front of my shop with the package. Act normal. I walked away from him. My legs still felt like jelly, but my back was straight. I entered the busy mall restrooms. I looked in the mirror. The face of the woman staring back was a stranger, pale, red-eyed, but with a steely glint I had never seen before. I splashed cold water on my face, feeling the sting on my skin. I took a deep breath. The innocent Kate who had made coffee for her husband that morning was dead. The woman walking out of this bathroom was a warrior. I was going to fight for my life. I returned to the front of Jack's shop exactly 10 minutes later. He was helping another customer, smiling as if nothing was wrong. He saw me, smiled, and handed me a paper bag. Here you go, Kate, the latest model. I hope Daniel likes it. Sorry about earlier. I nodded, playing my part. Thanks, Jack. And I'm sorry for bothering you. I took the bag. Inside was a box for a new phone, and hidden inside that box was the hard drive containing my husband's betrayal. I left the mall, but I didn't head to the parking garage immediately. I walked into the lobby of the hotel connected to the mall. I needed a safe place to make my calls. I sat on a plush velvet sofa, surrounded by busy businessmen and laughing tourists. Ironically, I was sitting in the middle of normal life while my world had just shattered. I pulled out my phone. First task, the banks. My hands were trembling so much I entered my passcode wrong 3 times. Calm down, Kate, I whispered to myself. I took a deep breath and called customer service for my first bank. A cheerful automated voice greeted me. Welcome to Chase. For balance information, press 1. I pressed 0 repeatedly to speak to a person. Every second felt like a needle pricking my skin. Daniel could be coming home. Please hold. All our agents are currently busy. The terrible hold music began to play. I wanted to throw the phone against the wall. Finally, a voice. Hi, this is Jennifer. How can I help you? I lost my purse, I said, trying to make my voice sound urgent, though what I felt was terror. I want to cancel all my cards. All of them. Right now. The process was agonizing. I had to answer security questions. My mother's maiden name, my date of birth. 15 minutes that felt like an eternity spelling my name, confirming account numbers, convincing 3 different operators from 3 different banks that it was me and that I wanted to freeze all my assets, including my savings. Are you sure, ma'am? Yes. Freeze everything, I shouted. A guest turned to look at me. I lowered my gaze, pretending to cry. Please, I'm so scared. After confirming the last card was canceled, I hung up. First mission accomplished. Second mission, the locksmith. I Googled 24-hour locksmith and called the first number that popped up. Hello, can you change the locks on my house? My voice was now calm and cold. We can, ma'am. But it would probably be late afternoon, the man said nonchalantly. No, I said firmly. I need it now, it's an emergency. I'm locked out and my son is inside. I lied. The lie came out without hesitation. I will pay you triple. Just take the address. You have to be there in 30 minutes. Money worked. The man accepted immediately. I gave him my address, and he promised to leave right away. Finally, I walked to the parking garage. The shopping bag with the hard drive felt too heavy in my hand. I put it on the passenger seat and looked at it. That object was my only salvation. I started the car. The drive home should have taken only 20 minutes. That day, it felt like a cross-country trip. Every silver sedan I saw on the road made my heart leap into my throat. It's Daniel. He's already home. What would he do if he arrived and saw me changing the locks? Jack's plan was brilliant, but it was full of risks. My thoughts raced. I went over every memory with Daniel. Our trip to Hawaii. The way he brought me soup when I was sick, the way he laughed. It had all been a fake. He had been watching me this whole time, planning all of this. I remembered when we signed the loan papers for a new commercial space a few months ago. He handled all the paperwork. I'll take care of it, honey. You just sign here, here, and here, he had said. And I signed. I didn't even read it. I trusted him. How stupid I had been. I thought about Cassandra, my best friend. It was Cassandra who introduced me to Daniel. Cassandra, who was my maid of honor. Cassandra, who had complained during lunch last week about how lucky I was to have a husband like Daniel. If it was Cassandra, this wasn't just a betrayal, it was something much darker. I turned onto our street. My stomach churned with anxiety. I saw a white van parked in front of our door. It was the locksmith, Stan. Thank God. I parked in the driveway and ran to him. Quickly, please, I urged him. The man saw the panic in my face and probably remembered my promise to pay triple. He worked fast. The sound of the drill piercing the old lock cylinder sounded like the most beautiful music in the world. I pretended to stand on the porch watching him, but my eyes were actually scanning the street. Every second, I expected Daniel's silver car to appear. Good security system on this house, ma'am. Stan tried to make conversation. I just nodded. As he installed the new deadbolt, my phone vibrated. Daniel, on the screen. My heart stopped. I stared at the screen, paralyzed. He was calling me. How did he know? The phone kept vibrating. Ma'am? Stan asked. I startled. I had to answer. I had to act normal. I took a deep breath and swiped the green icon. Hi, honey. My voice was a pitch higher than normal. Hey, Kate, where are you? Daniel's voice was normal, warm, affectionate. It made me want to vomit. I just left the mall, I tried to say naturally. There was a bit of drama. What drama? He asked. I felt so bad about your phone this morning, so to apologize I bought you a new one. There was a brief silence on the other end. Then he laughed a genuine laugh. Babe, you didn't have to. I told you it was fine. I know, but I still felt bad, I said. Well, where are you now? Almost home. The locksmith was testing the new keys. Click, click. Yes, I said hurriedly, trying to drown out the sound. I'm on my way. I'll be there in about 10 minutes. What about you? I'm just leaving work too, he said. Great. We might arrive together. I'll make you a special dinner tonight. A special dinner. Deeply asleep. Can't wait. My voice almost choked. See you at home, honey. I hung up, my hands soaking in cold sweat. All done, ma'am, Stan said. He handed me a set of shiny new keys. These are the new ones. The old ones won't work anymore. I gave him much more cash than he had asked for. Thank you so much. He hopped in his van and drove off. I stood frozen in the doorway, the new keys in my hand. This house was secure, at least for now. Just as the locksmith's van turned the corner and disappeared from view, a silver sedan appeared around the same corner. It was Daniel. He was back. Daniel's car pulled up right behind mine. He stepped out, smiling. The smile I had seen thousands of times. But tonight, it looked like a grotesque mask. I returned a clumsy smile. My hands gripped the new keys so tightly the metal dug into my palm. You look pale, honey, he said, approaching me. He brushed a lock of hair away from my face. His touch gave me chills. I guess the mall drama wore you out. Yeah, I replied dryly. I have a bit of a headache. He reached into his pocket and pulled out his old keychain. I held my breath. This was the moment. He put the key in the lock. Clunk. It didn't turn. He frowned. He tried again. Harder. Clunk. The sound of metal against metal. The key wouldn't go in all the way. That's weird, he muttered. He looked at me. The key is stuck. My heart pounded in my chest. This was the first lie. I had to get it right. Oh, I let out a clumsy laugh. About that. I'm sorry, Daniel. I forgot to tell you. I held up the new keys in my hand. I had to change all the locks. Daniel's expression shifted. His smile vanished. His eyes narrowed. It was only for a split second, but I saw it. Fury. A cold, rapid fury. You changed the locks? Why? I had to look as surprised as Jack had suggested. My purse, I said, making my voice tremble on purpose. I think my purse was stolen at the mall. I'm not sure. Maybe I dropped it. But our spare house key was inside. I widened my eyes, playing the role of the frightened wife. I panicked. I was terrified someone picked it up and knew our address, so I called a locksmith immediately. Daniel stared at me for a long moment. I could see the gears turning in his head. He was weighing things. And your cards? He asked quietly. I just got an email from the bank saying all my accounts are locked too, because of the purse. I nodded quickly. All my cards were inside my ID, credit, debit. I got so scared I canceled everything immediately. Daniel looked at me for a moment longer. Then, slowly, the mask slid back into place. His face softened. He sighed and hugged me. Oh my God, honey, how scary. Why didn't you call me? His hug felt like a prison. I had to suppress the urge to push him away. It happened so fast, I whispered into his shoulder. I called you as soon as it was done. It's okay, he said, releasing the hug. He took the new keys from my hand. You did good. It was smart. He unlocked the door. Let's go inside. You need to calm down. I'll make you a delicious dinner. My own home now felt like enemy territory. Every corner felt strange. I left the shopping bag with the new phone box on the living room table. This is for you, I said. Daniel looked at it. You really bought me a new one. He smiled, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. You went to a lot of trouble. I just felt sorry, I said, walking toward the kitchen. He followed me. As he started taking ingredients out of the fridge, I offered, I'll help you. There was expensive filet mignon, asparagus, mushrooms. Don't worry, he refused kindly. You sit down. You look tired. I'll take care of everything. Consider it my apology for our little argument this morning. He made me sit at the dining table where I could see him. He moved around the kitchen efficiently. Every chop of the knife cutting the vegetables made me flinch. He looked so normal, a caring husband cooking for his exhausted wife. But I knew the truth. I was watching a man planning to kill me. The real race started now. I couldn't take my eyes off him. Are you sure you don't need help? I asked again, trying to stand up. Sit down, Kate. His voice was a bit firmer, but still smiling. Just enjoy tonight. We'll even open that special bottle of wine. He pointed to the wine rack. An expensive bottle of Cabernet we were saving for special occasions. I watched him like a hawk. I watched his hands. Every time he bent down for something from a lower drawer, my heart stopped. Is he getting the poison now? Every time he turned his back to me to open the fridge, I held my breath. He cooked the steak to perfection. The aroma of garlic and butter filled the air. Normally, that smell would have made me hungry. Now it turned my stomach. He plated both meals beautifully, like in a high-end restaurant. He placed a plate in front of me. The food looked delicious and probably deadly. "Eat while it's hot," he said. He sat across from me. I picked up my fork and knife. My hands were shaking. I cut a tiny piece of meat. I had to act. "Oh, wait." He stood up suddenly. "I forgot the wine." He walked over to the wine rack, turning his back to me. "Here it is." He uncorked the bottle expertly. The sound of the cork popping sounded deafening in the tense silence. He took 2 crystal glasses. He was still back to me. I couldn't see his hands clearly from where I was sitting. It looked like he was grabbing something from a cabinet above the wine rack. When he turned around, he was holding 2 glasses filled with deep red wine. He placed 1 glass next to my plate. "To us," he said, raising his glass. "To our future." I raised my glass. My hand trembled. "I wasn't going to drink this. I wasn't going to eat this. Why don't you start?" "Eat," he urged gently. I had to find an excuse. "My phone," I said suddenly. "I think I left it in the car. I have to check. Maybe someone found my purse and called me." It was a weak excuse, but it was the only one I could think of. "I'll get it for you," he offered. "No," I said too quickly. "I have to. Also get the charger." "To charge your new phone." "No," he pointed to the box in the living room. "Just eat first. It's getting cold." "Just a second," I said. I rushed to the living room and grabbed the phone box. I didn't go to the car. I had to get rid of this food. But how? I ran to the guest bathroom, near the kitchen. I locked the door with shaking hands. I opened the trash can under the sink. I didn't have much time. I put my fingers down my throat and forced myself to gag up the tiny piece of meat I had just chewed but hadn't swallowed. Not enough. I went back to the dining table. Daniel was setting up his new phone, ignoring me. Quickly, I grabbed my plate. "Where are you going?" he asked, looking up. It's too much food." "I'm going to put it on a smaller plate." I lied again. I took it to the kitchen. He couldn't see me from the table. I turned on the sink faucet full blast. With a quick movement, I emptied the contents of the plate into a plastic grocery bag under the sink. I tied the bag and covered it with other trash. I wet the plate a little to make it look like I had eaten some sauce. I returned to the table with the nearly empty plate. Daniel smiled. "Better now?" "Yes," I said. "I saw my wine glass was still full. Now drink your wine." "You need to relax," he said. His eyes were fixed on the glass. I picked it up, swirled it in my hand, and then I saw it. Under the dining room light, there was something at the bottom of the glass that hadn't fully dissolved, a fine white powder clinging to the crystal. My blood froze again. It was real. He was really poisoning me. I brought the glass to my lips. I pretended to take a sip, letting the liquid touch my lips but not letting it enter my mouth. I set the glass back down. "How is it?" he asked expectantly. "Delicious," I whispered. I had to get out of here. But my head, "I'm so dizzy, Daniel." "It must be the stress. I'm going to the bathroom for a moment." I stood up, pretending to stumble a little. Daniel's face showed fake concern. "Sure, honey. Do you need help?" No, I'm fine. Just need some cold water." I stumbled toward the living room, heading for our master bathroom inside the bedroom. I needed to contact Jack. I needed to know who C was. I slammed the bathroom door and locked it. My heart was about to burst. I was panting as if I had run a marathon, leaning against the door. I was safe, at least for a few minutes. I looked in the mirror. My face was pale as a corpse. My lips were trembling. I turned on the faucet. I let the water run hard to drown out any sound if I needed to speak. I splashed cold water on my face, trying to clear my thoughts, the powder at the bottom of the glass. Daniel's expectant face. "Make sure she is deeply asleep. He was out there waiting for the drug to kick in, waiting for me to collapse so he could proceed with the final phase of his plan. The rage rushed back through my body, giving me strength. I wasn't going to let him win. I pulled the phone from my pocket. My hands were still shaking, but I managed to type a text to Jack. "I'm home. He's here. Tried to poison me. Wine glass, powder, faking dizzy, and locked in bathroom. He's outside. Need to know who is see now Jack. Need to know." I hit send. I waited for the read receipt. I held my breath. My thoughts raced. What to do now? I couldn't hide in the bathroom forever. Daniel would get suspicious. My phone vibrated. A message from Jack. "Calm down, Kate. I'm on it. I've been searching since you left. Most of the SD data is encrypted. But I found something. The calendar. There's an unencrypted calendar backup." A knock on the bathroom door. Knock, knock, knock. "Kate, honey, are you okay?" Daniel's voice was so falsely concerned, so fake. I jumped, leaning against the door. "Yes," I shouted, making my voice deliberately weak. "I feel really sick. Must have been something I ate. Do you want me to bring you some medicine?" he asked. No, I'm fine. Just leave me alone for a moment." Silence outside. I imagined him standing in our bedroom, listening, waiting. My phone vibrated again. "Jack, there is a scheduled meeting. Every Wednesday at 1 p.m. for the last 3 months. The location is always the same. A small coffee shop downtown. It has no name, just meeting." I replied quickly. "That doesn't tell me who it is." "Jack, I know. I'm crossing GPS data from the phone logs. He didn't delete the location data, the idiot. The last 3 days are probably corrupted from the fall, but I have last week's and the one before. Guess where he was last Wednesday at 1 p.m. at that coffee shop, and where he went after." I waited. My heart pounded. "Jack." "He went to a luxury apartment building in the Heights. He was there for 2 hours. I'm tracking the owner of the apartment he visits frequently at that time. Need a little time." Another knock on the door, this time louder, more impatient. "Kate, you've been in there for 20 minutes. Open the door." I'm worried. His voice wasn't soft anymore. There was a command in it. He was starting to panic. His plan wasn't going according to schedule. "I have diarrhea," I said, disgusted with myself. But I had no choice. "Don't come in. I'm embarrassed." "Go away. I'll come out when I'm done." I heard a curse under his breath on the other side of the door. "Okay, I'll wait in the living room. Don't take too long." I heard his footsteps recede. I had bought myself a little more time. My phone vibrated violently. "Jack, I don't need to track the owner. I found something else. A backup folder from another messaging app, not the one we saw before. This seems linked to his social media." He saved some screenshots. "Kate, I'm sending you the photos now. Brace yourself." My heart stopped. I knew what I was going to see. I had felt it since the name C appeared. An image popped up on my screen. It was a screenshot of a social media post, a photo of 2 glasses of champagne on a table with a city skyline in the background. The location was tagged. A luxury apartment in the Heights, but it wasn't that which froze my blood. It was the caption. The caption read, "One step closer to our freedom. Love you, D." And the account name that posted it was Cassandra. Cassandra, my best friend, my maid of honor, the woman who held my hand and comforted me when I cried after a fight with Daniel a year ago, the woman I had always admired for being so independent and strong. Jack sent another photo. This time it was the profile picture of the account. Cassandra smiling at the camera, her eyes sparkling. The same smile she gave me last week when we had lunch together. C was Cassandra. I couldn't breathe. This betrayal was so deep. It wasn't just my husband. It was the 2 closest people in my life. They were conspiring against me. They had planned all this together. "Jack, Kate, are you there?" The pain was so intense, so sharp, that it burned away all my fear. The only thing left was rage, a cold, pure, lethal rage. They weren't just after my money, not just after my house. They were laughing behind my back and coming for my life. Daniel thought I was the weak, submissive wife. Cassandra thought I was the dumb, naive friend. They were dead wrong. I wiped my tears. I looked at my reflection in the mirror. The scared woman from before was gone. The person staring back was someone they didn't know. I unlocked the bathroom door. I had to end this charade. I had to make them initiate their final phase. I stepped out of the bathroom. My steps were still fake unsteady. I walked toward the bedroom, where Daniel couldn't see me from the living room. I had to make him believe the drug had worked. I grabbed a pillow from the bed and dropped it. Then I let myself fall to the floor next to the bed, making a loud enough thump. I lay still, closed my eyes, and slowed my breathing. I listened to the silence. Then rapid footsteps from the living room. "Kate?" Daniel's voice was tense. He appeared in the bedroom doorway. He saw me on the floor. "Kate!" He ran to me. He didn't kneel to check if I was okay. He didn't shake me. The first thing he did was grab my wrist, not to check for a pulse. He was checking if I was still conscious. He lifted my arm and let it drop. I kept it limp. It hit the floor with a dull thud. He patted my cheek. "Kate? Honey?" I didn't move. I heard him sigh. A sigh of relief. The same sigh of relief he let out that morning on the balcony when his phone broke. I had done it. He believed he had succeeded. I heard him pull out his phone. He dialed a number. "Hello?" His voice was normal again, cold, calculating. "She's asleep. Bring the papers. It's time to finish this." I was lying on the cold floor next to my bed. Every muscle in my body was tense, ready to jump, but I stayed still. I was a corpse. I was the poor, submissive wife who had collapsed from stress or poison. I slowed my breathing, focusing all my senses on listening. He felt my wrist again. The touch was light, almost a caress, but he wasn't checking for life. He was checking for tension. Then I felt him lift my eyelid. The bedroom light stabbed my retina, but I forced my eyes to remain relaxed, unfocused. "Good," he muttered to himself. He patted my cheek again. Not an urgent tap, but a light, dismissive slap. "Kate? Honey?" No response from me. He believed I was unconscious. He believed he had won. His biggest mistake was underestimating me. I heard him press buttons on his phone. He didn't call an ambulance. He didn't call the police. "Hello," he said. His voice was no longer that of a worried husband. It was cold, dry, calculating, a voice I had never heard before. "She's asleep already. Bring the papers. It's time to finish." There was a brief silence. I could imagine Cassandra smiling on the other end. "Yes," Daniel continued. "The drug worked perfectly. No, she didn't suspect anything." He chuckled softly. The laugh turned my stomach. "She even bought me a new phone. How nice, right?" He hung up. I heard his footsteps walking away. Going back to the living room. What was he doing? Clearing our dinner plates? Cleaning the poisoned wine glass? The rage I had felt before turned into ice. There was no more pain or sadness, only focus. I had to contact Jack. I waited. Every second felt like an hour. I heard drawers opening and closing in the kitchen. What was he looking for? Then, I heard him go into the guest bathroom, the sound of running water. He was probably washing away the evidence. This was my chance. With a silent movement, I rolled to the other side of the bed. Out of sight from the doorway, I pulled my phone from my pocket. The screen light seemed blinding. I dimmed it to the minimum. I opened the message to Jack. My fingers flew over the screen, fueled by adrenaline. "He thinks I'm unconscious." Called Cassandra. "She's coming with papers. Bring police now." Message sent. I waited. No response. "Come on." I heard the water in the guest bathroom stop. His footsteps were approaching. Quickly, I slid the phone under the bed, rolled back to my original position on the floor, closed my eyes, and regulated my breathing. The bedroom door opened. Daniel entered. I felt him looming over me again. "What a nuisance," he muttered. He crouched down, and I felt his arms go around my back and knees. He lifted me. I forced my body to remain limp. Dead weight in his arms. The smell of his cologne, which used to make me feel safe, was now nauseating. He tossed me onto the bed, not gently, just dropped me like a sack of rice. My head hit the headboard slightly, but I suppressed a groan. He pulled the comforter up. covering me to the chin to make it look natural, as if I were fast asleep, which is what I was supposed to be. Then he started pacing the room. He was nervous, waiting for Cassandra. My phone was under the bed. I had to get it. I needed to know Jack's plan. I had to move. I let out a small moan, the sound of someone in restless sleep. Daniel stopped pacing. "Kate?" I moved slightly, rolling onto my side to turn my back to him. This brought me closer to the edge of the bed, closer to my phone. "Not now," he hissed. "Sleep deeply, honey." I heard him open the nightstand drawer. I heard the click of a pill bottle opening. My bottle of sleeping pills, the ones I used occasionally. Oh my God. Was he going to dose me again? Daniel? I mumbled, making my voice deliberately slurred and confused. I opened my eyes a slit, pretending to be half-conscious. He froze, pill bottle in hand. His face showed momentary panic. "Go back to sleep, honey. You're just tired." "Water," I whispered. "I'm thirsty." He looked at me, hesitating. His plan was drifting. "Give me water," I repeated. "Okay," he snapped, losing patience. "Stay here. Don't move." As if I could. He put down the pill bottle and rushed to the kitchen. As soon as his footsteps disappeared down the hall, I sprang into action. I slid down the side of the bed, reaching underneath. My fingers fumbled. Got it. I pulled out my phone. It vibrated. A message from Jack. "I'm on my way. I brought a camera. Police are already notified. They are waiting nearby. I can't get in. You changed the locks, remember?" I had forgotten. The new keys, of course. "Jack, you have to open the door for me. The back door, now." Cassandra could arrive any second. I heard the sound of water pouring in the kitchen. I jumped off the bed. My feet landed silently on the thick carpet. I ran out of the room, crossed the hall, and entered the kitchen. Daniel was facing the fridge, pouring a glass of water. I didn't stop. I ran past him toward the back door, the one leading to the laundry room divided by mudroom. "Kate!" Daniel shouted, surprised to see me up and running. I didn't care. I reached the back door. My hands shook, but I managed to unlock the deadbolts. Click, click. The sounds seemed deafening. "What are you doing?" Daniel yelled. He dropped the glass. The sound of shattering glass filled the kitchen. He ran toward me. I threw the door open. There, in the dark backyard, stood Jack. He was wearing a backpack. His face was tense. "Get in," I hissed. Jack squeezed past me and ran inside. Daniel was just a few steps behind us. "It's Cassandra, Daniel. Why isn't my key working?" I heard a voice shouting from the front porch. "Daniel, open up! It's me! Damn it!" Daniel was trapped in the kitchen divided by mudroom area with us. He couldn't get to the front door. The plan had stalled. Just as panic began to seize me, I heard Jack speak. "I'll open the door," Jack whispered to me. "I'll pretend to be Daniel." From a distance, our voices sound similar. "Quiet," Jack ordered Daniel, holding up a finger. Daniel looked confused, stunned by Jack's presence. I heard the front doorbell ring incessantly. Then I heard Jack shout toward the front door, making his voice deliberately deeper. "Just a second. The key is stuck." I heard his footsteps walking away. He was heading to the front door. Oh my God, what was he doing? I heard the sound of my new keys turning. The front door opened. Finally, I heard Cassandra's voice. The voice of my best friend, cold and cutting. "What took you so long? And why did you change the locks?" I held my breath. What would Jack say? "I'll explain later," Jack said, mimicking Daniel's voice quite well. Kate suspected something because she lost her purse. Suspected? Cassandra's voice was cautious. Her heels clicked into the living room. "It's fine now," Jack said, still playing Daniel. "She's asleep in the room. Come on, let's finish this." I stiffened on the bed I had run back and jumped in just in time. My eyes were closed, but every nerve in my body was screaming. I heard their footsteps, 2 pairs, approaching the bedroom. My heart beat so loud surely they could hear it. The bedroom door opened. I felt the shift in the air. Their presence filled the room. "Look," I heard Jack whisper, deeply asleep. I heard Cassandra approach. I could smell her perfume, an expensive scent I had bought her for her birthday last month. The nausea hit me again. I felt her cold fingers on my cheek, the same gesture she used to comfort me when I was sad. Now it felt like the touch of a spider. Poor Kate. Her voice was full of satisfaction disguised as pity. She's so gullible. She actually believed you loved her. Love doesn't pay the bills, Cassandra, Jack replied, trying to draw out information. You planned this from the start, Jack pressed. I heard Cassandra's low laugh. You came to me crying like a dog about your gambling debts. You said you'd do anything to be free. I held my breath. Gambling debts. I just showed you the way, Cassandra continued. She paced by the bed. I heard her unzip her designer bag. And you owe me, Daniel. Remember that, I set it all up. I found the buyer for this house. I forged those documents. I know, Jack said as Daniel, his voice impatient. Where are the papers? Let's finish this. Relax, Cassandra said. First, let's make sure her signature is perfect. She placed something solid on the nightstand. I brought the signature stamp we made. We just need to put her thumbprint on the final power of attorney in case the bank gets suspicious. She grabbed my hand. My limp hand. She lifted it. She dropped it. She's cold, Cassandra muttered. It's the drug, Jack said quickly. Cassandra pressed my thumb onto an ink pad and then onto a paper. I felt the pressure. She had just made me officially sign away my house. Okay, Cassandra said. Now the important part. There was a brief silence. I wondered what Jack was doing. Had he recorded enough? About your broken phone, Cassandra said, her voice casual as if chatting over brunch. It was a good idea to drop it off the balcony. Very dramatic. I had to, Jack said. All the records of the debt I owe you were on there. I didn't want to leave a trace. Cassandra laughed again. Fool, did you think I only kept it on your phone? I have copies everywhere, but it doesn't matter. The important thing is that folder I made you create, the one with all of Kate's documents. That's my insurance. If you try anything, I can take control. Ah, there it was. Daniel wasn't the mastermind. He was just a pawn, a desperate pawn indebted to Cassandra. Cassandra was the brain. She was manipulating Daniel, using me, planning it all. She was jealous of me. She wanted my life. She didn't even know you had that folder, right? Jack asked. Of course not, Cassandra said. Just like you didn't know that the client who got you into that massive debt was actually a shell company of mine. I've owned you from the start, Daniel. The confession was perfect, horrifying. Jack must have everything he needed. And now, Cassandra said. Her voice turned serious. Time for the final phase. I don't want to risk her waking up. We're going to make it look like a suicide. A suicide? Jack's voice tightened. Yes, much cleaner than an overdose. The heartbroken wife discovers evidence of her husband's bankruptcy and infidelity. Oh, I planted a few fake intimate photos of us on your laptop, and decides to end it all. She turns on the gas in the kitchen and goes to sleep forever. Oh my God. The plan was more diabolical than I had imagined. And you, Cassandra said, will look like the grieving husband who happened to be out when the tragedy occurred. We'll mourn together, and in a week we cash out everything and leave the country. She walked toward the bedroom door. Quick, Daniel. Grab the laptop. Grab any valuable jewelry. I'll handle the gas in the kitchen. This was her confession to planned murder. I heard Cassandra's footsteps walking away toward the kitchen. Then I heard Jack's voice in my ear. He must have had an earpiece or just whispered close. That's enough. Police are coming in now. Get ready. Just as he finished speaking, I heard Cassandra's footsteps returning. She was running. Daniel, she shouted, her voice urgent. There are police cars outside. They are in front of the house. How did they know? I don't know, Jack shouted. Cassandra ran back into the bedroom. She saw me on the bed. Her eyes were frantic. It must have been her. She set us up. She looked at Jack, who wasn't acting anymore. And you? You're not Daniel. Cassandra screamed in fury. She didn't run for the door. She ran toward me. If I go down, she goes down too. She jumped onto the bed. Her hands went for my throat, but I was ready. Just as she lunged, I rolled off the bed. I landed on my feet. Cassandra lost her balance and crashed into the headboard. At the same time, the front door shattered, the sound of wood splintering. "Paulus, don't move!" Jack ran out of the room. "She's in the bedroom. She's attacking the victim." Cassandra scrambled up. Her eyes locked onto mine with pure hatred. "Bitch!" She lunged at me again, but I was standing now. I grabbed the bedside lamp, a heavy ceramic lamp. I swung it with all my strength. The lamp smashed into Cassandra's shoulder. She screamed in pain. 2 uniformed officers burst into the room, guns drawn. "Hands up, on the ground. Now." Cassandra froze. "Behind the police," Jack pointed. "It's her, Cassandra. She's the mastermind." At the same time, I heard another loud crash and a thud from the guest bathroom area. Boom. "Police, open the door." It was Daniel. He had been hiding in the bathroom. 2 other officers who had just entered ran toward the sound. "There's another one here." They broke down the guest bathroom door. The thin wooden door shattered instantly. Daniel stumbled out, eyes wild with terror. He saw the police, the guns pointed at him. He raised his hands high. Unlike Cassandra, Daniel collapsed instantly. He didn't fight. He fell to his knees in the hallway and broke down sobbing. "It wasn't me," he sobbed, face in his hands. "Please, it wasn't me. She forced me. Cassandra, it was all her. She trapped me with the debts. I didn't want to." "Cuff him," an officer ordered. Jack stepped out of the master bathroom. His face was pale but relieved. He handed the external hard drive and his own phone to a detective who seemed to be in charge, Lieutenant Stone. "Lieutenant," Jack said, his voice steady, "here is everything. The clone data from his phone and a full audio recording of Cassandra's confession, the murder plan, the fraud, the forgery, everything. Check the kitchen." Lieutenant Stone shouted. "It smells like gas." An officer ran to the kitchen. The gas stove was on all burners open, unlit. The officer shut it off immediately and threw open the living room windows, letting the cold night air dissipate the smell of death Cassandra had planned. In the bedroom, Cassandra's resistance finally ended. They managed to cuff her. As they hauled her up, her eyes met mine. I was standing in the corner of the room, shivering, hugging myself. This was my best friend. "You think you won?" She spat, saliva flying from her mouth. "You think you're smart? He never loved you. He's mine. I found him. I made him." "That's enough," an officer said, roughly pulling her out of the room. I saw Daniel as they led him away. He didn't dare look at me. He just stared at the floor. A broken man, betrayed by his own greed and ruined by his own weakness. My house was full of strangers. The police collected evidence. They took the wine glass with the poison residue still at the bottom. They took the forged papers and the signature stamp Cassandra had brought. They took the kitchen knives Daniel had used to cook his special dinner. A paramedic draped a thermal blanket around me. I wasn't hurt, but my shivering wasn't from the cold. It was shock. Jack sat beside me on the sofa. His hand never left my shoulder, a silent, reassuring anchor. At the police station, by dawn, everything became clear. I gave my statement with Jack as a witness. The story sounded insane, even to my own ears, the smashed phone, the whisper at the counter, the powder in the wine, but I had proof. After I finished my statement, Lieutenant Stone sat across from me. He looked exhausted. "Your story," he said, "matches perfectly with the evidence and your husband's initial statement." It turned out Daniel had confessed to everything instantly. Hoping to save himself, he spilled it all. Cassandra and Daniel had known each other since college, long before I met Daniel. Cassandra had always had a manipulative side. It was she who introduced me to Daniel. He was part of her plan from the very beginning. Cassandra, who seemed so successful on the outside, was actually running several illegal schemes. She loaned Daniel money for an investment that was a trap. The investment failed completely, just as Cassandra had planned. Suddenly, Daniel owed her a massive amount of money. She used that debt to control him. "You'll marry Kate, right?" she had told Daniel. "She has a considerable inheritance. She has a house. You'll enter her life and help me take everything." Daniel, weak and scared, accepted. He thought he could handle it. He thought he could love me and pay his debt at the same time, but Cassandra never intended to let him go. For years she exploited him. And when Daniel couldn't pay anymore, Cassandra decided to take everything from me. The plan to sell the house and empty the accounts was entirely Cassandra's idea. Daniel was just the scared executioner. Did she also tell him to poison me? I asked quietly. The lieutenant nodded. According to Daniel's statement, he refused. He didn't want to commit murder. But Cassandra threatened him. She told him if he didn't do it, she would kill both of you and make it look like a murder-suicide. Daniel claims he planned to give you a very small dose, just enough to make you sleep, so he could get you out of the house before Cassandra turned on the gas. He says he was trying to save you. I laughed. A dry, humorless laugh. He's lying. I saw the powder in the glass. It wasn't a small dose. We know, said the lieutenant. We analyzed it. It was a lethal dose. He might have been a victim of Cassandra's manipulation, but he still actively participated in your attempted murder. Karma. That was what I wanted. The trial was fast, the evidence was irrefutable, the data Jack cloned showed a meticulous plan of forgery. The audio recording Jack made was the final nail in Cassandra's coffin. Her confession about the gas and her intent to kill me was clearly recorded. Daniel received a lighter sentence for his cooperation, but he was still sentenced to 12 years in prison for his role in the conspiracy and attempted murder. Cassandra, the mastermind, the sociopath hiding behind a friend's smile, showed no remorse. She was charged with multiple counts: attempted murder, conspiracy to commit murder, grand fraud, forgery, and reckless endangerment. She received the maximum sentence, life without parole. When the verdict was read, Cassandra turned to look at me. She was in the defendant's box. She didn't look angry, she just looked empty. But when our eyes met, she smiled. A small, horrible smile that seemed to say, I might have lost, but I ruined your life forever. She was wrong. She hadn't ruined me. She had only ruined the illusion I had built. Months later, the morning sun streamed through the new living room windows. Dust motes danced in the air. The house smelled of fresh paint and lemons. I had sold almost all the old furniture. The sofa where Cassandra sat, the dining table where Daniel served me poison, the bed where I pretended to be unconscious, all gone. I didn't sell the house. I refused to be pushed out of my own space by bad memories. This is my house. I reclaimed it. I was sitting at my new kitchen table, a solid wood table with a cup of coffee. On my laptop screen, Jack's face was smiling. So, he said, his voice slightly distorted by the speakers. The paint is dry, and it doesn't smell like gas anymore? I laughed. A relaxed, genuine laugh. I hadn't laughed like that in a long time. Not at all. Just smells like victory, and a little bit of turpentine. We laughed together. Our relationship had changed. He wasn't just my cousin anymore. He was my anchor, my brother. He was the one who believed in my instinct when no one else would have. Are you okay there alone, Kate? He asked. His smile faded into genuine concern. I'm not alone, I said, looking around. The house was peaceful. Not a spooky silence, but a solid peace. The legal proceedings were over. All my assets, the ones they tried to steal, were returned to me. I even managed to annul the sale of the commercial space Daniel had made behind my back. The mystery of Daniel was fully resolved in court. He was a weak man, trapped by a woman stronger and more evil than him. His weakness made him a monster. I don't hate him anymore. I just feel pity, and I'm glad he's in prison. Cassandra appealed, I said casually, taking a sip of my coffee. And her appeal was denied, Jack replied, grinning. I read the news. Of course it was denied, I said. She's locked away tight, as she should be. We sat in silence for a moment. So, what are your plans now? Jack asked. I smiled. I'm thinking of using that commercial space to open something of my own, maybe a small gallery or a bookstore cafe. Something quiet. That sounds perfect for you, Kate. His voice was soft. I'm really proud of you. I wouldn't have made it without you, Jack. Yeah, you would have. You just needed a little technical support. He winked. We hung up. I closed the laptop. I stood up and walked down the hall. I passed the guest bathroom, the door now repaired. I passed my bedroom, now painted a soothing blue. Everything was new. Everything was clean. I stopped in front of the front door. It was new too, a solid teak door with a double lock security system. I picked up my keys from a small bowl near the door. There weren't 3 or 4 keys on the ring like before, just one. The old keys, the one Cassandra had, the one Daniel used, had been melted down. This was my new key. I stepped out onto the porch, feeling the warmth of the morning sun on my face. I breathed in the fresh air. I turned around and put the key in the lock. I turned it. Click. The satisfying sound of metal engaging perfectly. Before, I locked the door to keep strangers out. Now, I locked it to protect the hard-won peace inside. I smiled. A full smile. I was safe. I was free. I wasn't the victim collapsed on the floor anymore. I was the owner of this house. I was the owner of my life.